Hey, what's up, everybody? I've been meaning to do this video for a long time, and I said, well, I don't know when I'm going to do it, and my phone just rattled off the holder and fell down to the floor of my truck, and I said, well, I guess that's as good a sign as any that I'm going to get. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the area study, and I know I harp on it, and don't stop watching, because what I'm about to say is actually far more important than other things that I've said. If you've watched any of my videos for a while, you know that doing an area study is going to lead to two things for us. Number one, it's going to help us to develop threat intelligence, and number two, it's going to help us to develop local early warning. So we do an area study, we look at all 6 layers of our operating environment, and then we look at follow-on effects of whatever we find in our area study. And I know that's fairly vague, but I've covered it in very great detail on previous videos. So there's intelligence, and then there's operations. And what I want to encourage everyone to do, I know a lot of people look at an area study, when they say, I know a lot of people, think about an area study and they say, well, that's like intelligence stuff, that's nerd shit, and I don't really want to do it. Well, the second part of an area study, one reason why you do the area study is to develop threat intelligence and local early warning. But the second reason is because you can operationalize what you learn in your area study. You look at the 6 layers of your operating environment. You look for significant characteristics. You look for assets, liabilities, vulnerabilities, limiting factors, so on and so forth. And you say, how can I take this information and operationalize it? So how can I operationalize my physical terrain? What physical terrain features are around me that I can use to increase my defensibility in a worst case scenario? The human terrain, what groups or individuals are in your area can you begin developing? And look, I don't have time to go to 20 meetings a month because there's over a dozen different groups in my immediate area, civic groups and political groups and whatever. But you know what I can do is task people in my preparedness group. I can task one of them and say, hey, can you go to the Rotary Club and see what they're about? Go meet up with those guys and see what they're doing, see if there are any other like-minded individuals, see what you can find out. How can we operationalize what we find in critical infrastructure? How can we operationalize what we find in politics and governance, and in military, law enforcement, security, and economics and finance? And there may not be a lot of good answers, but the one problem that I see happening right now is people say, well, I don't have a mission. Like, there's no riots in my neighborhood. There's nothing that I can be doing actively. And that's the wrong way to look at this. There's a guy that used to blog, another SF guy, former team guy. He went by the name Dan Morgan, and he said, every day you're not at war is a day that you have to sharpen your axe. And what he meant by that is, every day that you're not at war is a day that you can prepare for eventual conflict. The other day on my Instagram account, I posted a thing that said, in terms of irregular conflicts, domestic conflicts, civil wars, peacetime networks are the basis for wartime organizations. And you look at the IRA, there's a few families and basically some political folks that started the IRA as it was known, back in the late 19th century. And you look at the proto-insurgency in Portland, and there's affinity groups there, and in Seattle too, and Philadelphia and wherever else. There are affinity groups, and they've gotten to know each other, and they've built a network. And if there ever is an instance where that does become an armed insurrection or an armed insurgency, and look, I'm not saying that that's going to happen like next week or next year or whenever. We might still be years away from it. We might be days away from it. I don't know. But all the time and effort that they've put into building networks and logistical networks and intelligence networks is going to just operationally serve them very, very well. And so your mission, yeah, you may not have rioters in your neighborhood, but your mission right now is to be building your network. Be cautious, be strategic, assess your needs, follow the intelligence, as it were, follow what you find out. Your mission right now is to be building those peacetime networks. And I'm not saying necessarily for a war. I'm big on preparedness. I think everyone should be getting better prepared, not just stacking up stuff, but building networks. Because those networks, those people in your network are going to be the ones that, oh, this guy's a mechanic. Oh, great. Can you fix up this vehicle that we're going to use as an ambulance? Or, this lady's a retired nurse. Great. She's our part of our extended medical team, or whatever, right? Like medic team in the rear. Or hey, this guy, actually I just found this guy the other day. He's now in our group. He's a former 11 Bravo. It's like, great, let's get some weapons training, and let's show off your knowledge about the operational stuff. So a lot of times, when we're talking about building the network, like, these guys aren't going to seek you out. The people who end up joining you, you're going to have to go find. And if you're not finding them, they're not going to come to you. And if they're not coming to you and you're not finding them, then your peacetime network is suffering, and your wartime organization is going to suffer as well. And I say wartime, and I'm not talking about necessarily civil war. I'm just talking about a conflict, an emergency, a natural disaster. Maybe you have to go do humanitarian relief. Maybe you have to go rescue some people from the floodwaters or whatever. I don't know. That does it for this video. Thanks for listening.